Hey YouTube, this is EbenMagician34 and I have the long-awaited, new format approved Obelisk the Tormentor deck. So, it's a little changed up, not just for the format, but we've actually improved it some. So I think this actually benefited from a lot of the changes since the last time this deck was built. So, here we go. First off, 3 copies of Obelisk the Tormentor, the one and only Legal for Play version, of course. Next up, 2 Lone Fire Blossom, which goes awfully well with this card, which benefited from the ban list, which is Dandelion. Now you get 2, and it's a nice twisted way to quickly power out your Obelisk. Deck also runs 1 copy of Titanial, Prince of Camellias, and the reason I'm running that is because it's an easy target for Lone Fire, for beatdown, and for protection, and it's a monster that tends to stay on the field to be tributed if all else fails. And it's a good reanimation target too, so just usually should go hand in hand with Lone Fire Blossom. Alright, next up, 3 copies of Gravekeeper's Spy. It's a great monster for blocking attacks, creating new monsters, and also a great thing to target with your Book of Moon. And also 1 Gravekeeper's Guard. It's another search target for Spy. I'm running this over Descendant largely because in a deck like this, it's a little slower, a little more control-y. The Destroyer card is not quite as important as the ability to flip a monster and stall for time, and having the higher defense value so it's more likely to stay on the field. Better top deck option, essentially. 1 copy of Mystic Tomato. 1 copy of Sangan. Some of these should be pretty self-explanatory. Plague Spreader Zombie. He's good reanimation, and he can also supply you with backup to help make the kill once Obelisk gets on the field. So, it makes good sense. Spirit Reaper. Marshmallow. Treeborn Frog. Lovely to put in the grave. He has a number of cool tricks he can pull off in this deck. So he doesn't make the cut. Once you've seen the whole deck, you'll probably figure out why. Gores. This is most of an Obelisk tribute right there. It's a great card to have in your opening hand. Trigoedia. Similar reasoning right there. And of course, don't forget that he can steal your opponent's monsters, which makes for more tribute fodder. And this last monster is kind of an unusual pick, but I'm running it as an actual backup to Obelisk once he gets on the field, because while he has the ability to clean your opponent's monsters off, it takes 2 other monsters, and by the time you get Obelisk out, the remaining cards in your hand, it's kind of slow and hard to make it happen reliably. This guy is a much more reliable way of getting that 4,000 damage across. Neospatian Grand Mole. And of course, he's also a great answer to virtually every single monster out there. So, an interesting inclusion, but a very good one, especially in our slower format. Of course, he can also be Sangand. Okay, Heavy Storm. Remember, if you're just about to tribute summon for Obelisk, there's not really a reason to storm, because they're not going to solemn him, and they're not going to bottomless him or torrential him or anything like that. So, but usually you're going to play it before you summon or something like that. MST. Similar rules apply. Foolish Burial. An abundance of good targets here. Obviously, this can just shove Dandelion into your grave for instant 2 monsters on a special summon, which is a great way to get Obelisk on the field if you've got like 1 monster left over from Tomato or something like that. Great way for that to work. And of course, you can also bury Frog with it. It's mainly what you're going to be doing. Allure. Plenty of darks in the deck. Brain Control. Obvious function. And a similar function for Mark of the Rose, ×2. Obviously, depending on if you have these in your hand or whatever, you may want to just Lone Fire for Lone Fire and then go for Dandy or Titanial. Whatever's going to make getting out that Obelisk easier. There's also Swords, just buys you time, good control card. 2 copies of Book of Moon. Obviously, if a light attribute monster attacks Obelisk head-on, there's probably an honest hiding. Same goes for Black Wings with enough attack power to actually be able to kill with Collude or something like that, or if Sirocco gets involved. So these are good defenses against that, and it's also a way to recycle flip effects on your Spy and even your Guard. So, yeah. And another cool card that has some cool tricks, especially with Treeborn Frog if you play it correctly, Enemy Controller. Remember, you can play this out of your hand during your standby phase, sack your Frog to steal an opponent's monster, it's still your standby phase, bring back your Frog. It's a great trick. Also a way to sack Dandy, theoretically. And stacking Dandy to make 2 tokens and steal your opponent's monster is just a great trick. Done correctly, you can go far. Mirror Force. It's defense. There's no Torrential because Torrential blows your own stuff, which pretty much any time you're not going to want to do unless you've got a Dandy set. And it's just not enough justification for Torrential, believe it or not. Call the Haunted. Obvious choice. Solemn. Defense is the name of the game. Once Obelisk gets out, all I have to do is protect him. This protects him. Very few things can hurt him. And this card and Solemn cover most of the stuff that can actually kill him. Starlight Road. When Black Rose Dragon comes out, you need the ability to say no. And getting a 2,500 point beat stick doesn't hurt. And of course, you can protect your tribute fodder monsters as well. And another one, especially goes well with Dandelion and Frog and whatnot. 2 copies of Phoenix Wingman Blast also keeps monsters off the field so you can get that kill quickly before your opponent finds an answer to you. So there you go. That's the 40 card main deck. Pretty good. You notice I've cut the D heroes from last time. Now onto that extra deck. 3 copies of Stardust Dragon, but with the 2 Starlight Roads, it's really a no-brainer. Red Dragon Archfiend, Colossal Fighter. It's hard to hit 8 stars, but it can be done. Thought Ruler Archfiend. Avenging Knight, you got a lot of steel power, so you can steal a light monster. Black Rose Dragon, of course. Use that one sparingly, but it's still good to run. And remember, you can also use his Change a Monster's Position effect because you do run plants. So, just one more cool thing he can do. You could back up for Obelisk in that way. Life Transfer, Goyo, Bryanak. Another guy who can be a good wingman for Obelisk, especially since 6 stars is the easiest synchro to hit in this deck pretty much, is Flamvel or Kizis. Because Obelisk is pretty intimidating for your opponent, makes a lot of people set to try to buy time to find answers in their deck, and this guy's a great way to punish them for it. Tempest, you do have some 4-star spellcasters that go with Plague, and she can burn people to death. Just got a situation assess there with Plague. Android, and Catastor, of course. Alright, there you go. If you have any questions, comments, etc., feel free to comment on the video or whatever. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.